I'm like, dude, you tore your Achilles tendon. Like, what type of magical sauce did you find in while you were at home that like made it so that you could come back? He's like on the sideline ripping passes. I'm like, dude, don't do that. Just stay at home. What's going on, everybody? Feast or Famine podcast. I'm the real Kris Mac. I'm here with Mr. Chino and introducing our very special guest, the man so nice they named him twice, Mr. Patty Puts. What's going on, Pat?
What's up, guys? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Going on. How's everybody doing today?
Doing good. It's a Saturday. It's winter. It's not snowing yet, but I don't know about how it looks by you guys, but I feel like today's going to be a nice and relaxed day. Got some good sports on today, so I'm chilling.
Oh, yeah. Sports topics.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Where we want to start? We want to start in the NBA?
Let's do it. Big game yesterday from our Knickerbockers.
Oh, yeah.
Huge. Played great.
Playing top-ranked 76ers.
Well, I mean, they were playing against the Joel Embiid with one leg. I don't know if you guys watched the game, but it was still a great performance. You saw a lot of really strong efforts from people that you didn't really expect much from. McBride had an excellent game. Hartenstein had an excellent game. They're looking pretty dangerous. I don't know that they're up with the upper echelon of the Eastern Conference as of yet, but I think they keep playing together like they are. They'll be close.
See, I guess I'm always like the devil's advocate here because I feel like what you're saying is true, but it was a blowout, so a lot of guys got extra minutes. But if it wasn't a blowout and Embiid had both his legs, I think it'd be a better game or a closer game. And what did I tell y'all the other day? Still not a fan of Julius Randle. Shit the bed against a team that they're possibly going to face.
Whoa. Let me pause you right there on the Julius slander because you always come with the Julius slander. Julius Randle, the last 20 games, has been averaging like 28 and 9. Okay, so just because he has one game, where he doesn't show up, I think we can give the man a pass. Now, I agree with you when you normally say, like, hey, he hasn't done it in the playoffs, because he hasn't. So that still remains to be seen. But regular season, man, him and Brunson are the workhorses, okay? They're gonna keep us in games. We're gonna win games. We're gonna lose games with those being our two guys. So, all right, continue. And Joel had 30 points on one leg too. So I'm not gonna knock Joel either.
One of 4 players to average. He has 5 straight games of 30 and 15 or something like that.
Yeah, something crazy like that.
Some Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, him and Wilt Chamberlain. That's the company that he's in.
Listen, I hear you. I get it. But again, we're talking about against a team that they're gonna face come playoffs. He's gonna have to produce, and he couldn't produce. He went 1 for 11 last night. What are we talking about here? He had 8 points. He went 1 for 11 against a one-legged Joel Embiid. And outside of Joel Embiid and Maxey, who else do the Sixers have? Tobias hurt his leg like first quarter and then left the game. Mm-hmm. So you mean to tell me the supporting cast of the Sixers is going to make Julius Randle go 1 for 11?
I mean, I guess.
That's all I'm saying.
I'll put it this way, like. All right, just watching the game, Julius has made like a concerted effort to not be a jump shooter this season. So it's mostly been bully ball. Get down in the paint, get on the free throw line. Just abuse forwards and centers. You're not doing that against Joel. And let's be real, the Sixers have a lot of length on defense, so you're not just going to go in and bully. Batum can guard, Tobias, can guard, when he's not injured, and then you got a 7-foot Embiid in the paint. That's not going to be easy for you to get down there and get your buckets. So they force him out, make him a jump shooter, and that's where he struggles. Like, that's where you're seeing like the long mid-range jumpers and the long three-point shots, and that's not really his game. That's not what's made him successful this season.
And that's what I'm saying. I feel like, so I appreciate you because I feel like you're making the point. I feel like what you just said, everyone in the NBA knows that when they play the Knicks. And you know what? Basically what it feels like is we're going to take Randall away, make him a jump shooter, which he's not.
Mm-hmm.
We'll let Brunson go off, and we just got to stop everybody. And that's how we do it. Force turnovers. And if they can't hit threes, and you know what? To start that first half, the first half of that game was amazing. Fast breaks, hitting threes like crazy. What happened in the third quarter? Dry. So you imagine playoffs. Randall's not doing well. Brunson's the only one scoring. What are we going to do then? That's what I was trying to say the other day. If there's no third guy, and we're going to rely on Randall and Brunson, you take one guy away and let Brunson do what he's going to do, which he did. You said Batum. He gave Batum work.
Oh, yeah.
He was running him all over the court. So that's what I'm saying. Against a playoff team, he doesn't show up. And he made him a jump shooter. Looked like he was forcing his shots. If all the teams in the playoffs come to playoffs, if all teams do that, it's a wrap. That's all I'm saying.
That is one thing that I have noticed about Randall. If you can get in his head a little bit, get him a little bit frustrated on the offensive end, his effort takes a massive dip. And that's something that in the playoffs we just cannot have. Like, everybody's got to be going full all the time. So that's something that does disappoint me a little bit. And Sean, your point that you just made about having that third guy, I was a little worried about that, to be honest. And I'm worried about that third guy being able to make their own shot. I don't know if they have that guy on the roster as of yet, and I'm interested to see if they make any more moves.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking about to that point? I think that looking back at like previous teams that are kind of similar, I don't know why I keep gravitating towards the Miami Heat, right? They don't have three guys, right? But what they do have is they have a supporting cast that comes in and does their job. Hits threes, right? Spot up shooters. I think you look at Miami Heat last season, I think not having Hero the entire season and losing Max Strus hurt them because they big shoot, they hit shots. So you look at yesterday, like you said earlier about there's certain players that went off this year. But they went off because it was a blowout. They got Grimes had 24 minutes, McBride had 15 minutes, Precious had 15 minutes. Like, they got minutes because they were blowing the Sixers out. But again, I just go right to that third quarter. Like, they weren't hitting shots, and literally, coach tried to give Brunson a break, and it was like, nah, get back on the court.
Yeah, you couldn't.
It's gonna be over.
Well, yeah, the trade for OG definitely exposed an issue that the Knicks are going to have. They definitely had one of the better benches in the league with Quigley coming off, and he's like a primary ball handler in that second unit. So Brunson does have time to get rest and not be on the court as much. So I mean, to Pat's point, you're either going to have to make another move to get another ball handler to play on the bench, or Grimes or Deuce is going to have to step up because those are the only other guards, outside of maybe, spot minutes with DiVincenzo, in different lineups that can actually handle the rock. So, but I mean, I'll take a lockdown defender at the wing that can guard every position in my starting lineup. Listen. When Maxey was playing against OG and OG was on him on an island, you didn't see him do anything. It wasn't until OG was subbed out in and out where you saw Maxey kind of go off, and he had a quiet 27 points. So listen, I'm all in on the Knicks trading away RJ and Quigley to get OG because you know the defense has definitely picked up, especially these last 3 games. 3-0 since the trade. Let's talk about it. Come on.
Listen, we can talk about it. I'm all for the OG trade. You got a dude that, and it's under the radar too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
all second defense, led the NBA in steals and total steals. Toronto led the NBA in steals per game. They set a franchise record for steals last season, and it's a big proponent of him. He set career highs in both steals and blocks. And I was looking at career stats versus RJ Barrett. Yeah, you're losing the points, but like I look at percentages. He has a better career field goal percentage is better. His 3-point percentage is better. His free throw percentage is better. He plays the lockdown defense. So to your point, yeah, I love the trade. I'm in the mindset of it's not enough. It's something else has to happen. If this is going to be it, I'll put money on it. We're going to be winning.
No. A lot has to happen before playoff time rolls around. Honestly.
And just FYI, quickly went off this.
Oh, I know. Listen, I am now following Toronto Raptors games because Quigley and RJ are on there. Like we become fans of players, man. Like we drafted those guys. I want to see them do well.
Totally agree. And I'm totally on board with you guys with the trade, too. At first, honestly, I was disappointed. I really liked Emmanuel Quigley, especially, and I liked RJ Barrett's game and thought it could get a little bit better. I didn't know that much about OG and all his, fundamentals and all the little things that he does so well. He's always on time with help defense. He's always in the right place at the right time. He's always cutting to the basket. He's always fighting for rebounds. He's doing all these little intangible things that we didn't necessarily have somebody in the past that was doing. So, and again, and Chris, you just said 3-0. The proof is in the pudding. It's 3-0 for the Knicks, 2-1 for the Raptors. Maybe it's an even trade if there ever was one. You said Quickly went off. I did see the ball was in his hands when they were down 3 with less than 10 seconds left too. So it's cool to see them succeeding up in Toronto. Muted, Sean.
Yeah, muted.
Yeah, I think. I agree. Man. Listen, I was watching quickly, looking at the stats. Yeah, in the 3 games that they've had, 14, 26, and 20, and each game his minutes have increased.
Yeah.
He's going to become a starter on the team. He's not going to be on the 6-man conversation. But the struggle was for us is he would never be a starter on the team.
No, and you can't play him and Brunson together with what Quigley gives you off the bench.
Yeah, that's the struggle, and we would have had to pay him.
Oh yeah.
If he was in 6-man conversations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he's slightly weaker than DiVincenzo, playing defensively too. So just having DiVincenzo in the lineup, not playing Brunson and Quickly together, definitely helps the Knicks right now.
Hey, that Villanova connection right there. Listen, it's something to be said when like 3 of your guys that are like essential to your rotation all played in college together, all won national championships together. That type of like cohesion you don't really see very often.
And listen, you know what else? Let's just make sure we put action on the fact that we also don't have our center. Which is huge. It is changing the way we play. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of Art Slam. He did have a big game yesterday. Again, Joel Embiid was playing on one leg, and he's still dominating. It goes unsaid. Yeah, Mitch Robinson, we're missing him. I'm just worried about if we're not going to make any changes. That's just whoever we play. It's serious.
Yeah. So how do we think this impacts the East in particular? Because the obvious front runners are Milwaukee, Boston. Indiana's kind of like teetering there. Then you also have Miami. So where do you think the Knicks kind of shake out in the landscape? Like,
Unfortunately, I think they're still kind of in that middle tier. I don't think that they've jumped up to the tier with Boston and Milwaukee. I just don't think they have the talent quite yet and the cohesion. I think they'll get better and better as this year goes on, but I do think they need another piece or two, personally. And they need Mitch back big time. Hartenstein is playing his butt off, but he is limited. He's limited offensively, limited defensively. He's very handsy, fouls a lot. So, I think they're still a piece or two away.
Yeah, I think just looking at it, I alluded to it before. Um, if the Knicks want to have a chance, they have to finish at 4 or 5. You don't want to face the Sixers in the first round. Don't want to face the Bucks in the first round, and I really don't want to face the Celtics either in the first round. I'd rather play them in the second round. I'd rather play a Pacers team that's young. I'd rather go head to head with the Heat right now. Outside of that, we're not going to play the Magic because we're not going to finish in the top 3. So I say we shoot for the. Got to make another move. The landscape of the East is the top 3 is the top 3. That's it. I don't see the Pacers, Heat overpassing the Celtics, Bucks.
I mean, it's fun. Like, I like the fact that, like, here we are talking about Indiana and, Orlando, like, in conversation for playoffs is like, it feels like forever since either of those teams have been, like, really good. But yeah, just kind of, yeah, yeah. What's Franz? Who's their guy they got down there?
No, Paulo.
Paulo?
Paulo had his first triple double yesterday.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
they beat the Nuggets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you it's a shooter's league, man. If you can get shots and you got guys, if you have like guys that can make shots, the current game of the NBA, is in your favor. You could win on any night. Doesn't matter if you're going against the Warriors, Nuggets, whoever.
Yeah, speaking of, I was going to say, like, what are y'all thoughts on that topic, like the NBA in general? Like, it is obviously totally different than what we're used to back in the day when growing up. But like, what are your thoughts on the state of the NBA now?
Unfortunately, I like the olden days when there was a little bit more physicality and people actually got to play defense. We're seeing it in the NFL and the NBA where points and offensive production, it makes money. It puts people in the seats. So because of that, I feel like some of the officiating kind of accidentally goes in that direction, and it's kind of driven in that direction. I like lower scoring games where guys are really annoyed at each other and pissed, and developing all this hatred and the rivalries. Excuse me. But I don't like to not be able to watch an NBA game on an entire Friday because there's only 3 games that are within 15 points of one another. So it was a little disappointing yesterday when I tried to watch the full slate, but I understand it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'll say like skill wise, I think modern NBA players have more basketball skills. So, we're talking dribble, pass, shoot. They're coming into the league having, better all around basketball skills. But to Pat's point, yeah, I think you're missing out on some of the physicality and like let's be real, if you're a fan of the Lakers, you hate the Celtics. If you're a fan of, the Knicks, like you hated the Bulls like in the 90s. Like there were like those types of rivalries that you had with teams like, all right, we're going to get up for this game and like, forget those guys. Like I'm not trying to be buddy buddy with like a Bulls fan. But then it also reflects on like how the players are now too. Like all these guys work out in the summers together. They're all buddies like off the court. So if you wanna blame LeBron for that, maybe that's like one of his legacies that he brought to the game. Because I know one thing: Kobe was not going to be your friend. Like Jordan was not going to be your friend. Like especially when the season went on. So yeah, it's just a different game. But when you do manage to get like those good ones where it's like within 8 to 10 points like of a win and it's close in the fourth quarter, like those are the games that I like to watch.
Yeah, I mean, as Knicks fans, I'm sorry, Sean, just real quick. As Knicks fans, Reggie Miller was must-see TV.
Oh my
Every
God,
single
yes.
time the Knicks played the Pacers, we were watching that game. So
9 points in 4 seconds. 9 points. Yeah, Reggie was a goat.
let's not talk about it.
Yeah, let's not go there. Let's not talk about it.
Go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
No, listen, y'all make a good point. Like, I'm old school too. We all grew up in a similar era. One thing I hate about the current state of the NBA right now is Rich literally just said it. Like, I hate the fact that everyone is friends. And me personally, like when I play sports, I am competitive. I didn't make it anywhere. You know what I mean? But when I play, you're not my friend. Like I want to beat you. I don't want to lose to you. I don't want to be friends. After the game, yeah, sure, we can talk about it. But when we're on this court, on this field, like we're not friends. And I hate that because in the NBA, that's what it is right now. It's essentially everyone is friends. We're all cool. We all work out together. Blah blah blah. F that. No, we're not training together. I don't want you to see anything that I'm doing. And that's, you know what? I think that was a couple years ago. That was a knock on Giannis. Giannis always works out either with his brothers or that's it. He's not working out with anybody. And look at him, who he is. He's arguably best player in the NBA, and the Milwaukee Bucks won a championship. So, like, I hate the fact that everyone is friends. I think the other thing is to your point about like the state of the NBA in regards to like offense and athleticism. Nobody watches. Tell me if I'm wrong. Nobody really watches the regular season right now because all it is just shooting threes, running, gunning, and that's it. No one really plays defense. The thing is, offensive players are more efficient now. You see a guy like Halliburton scoring 20 points and then having 20 assists. He scored 150 last night
with no turnovers.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the talent development, from our generation to where it is right now, it's like night and day. Believe me, I don't want to say anything negative about where the talent is because there are absolutely special players out there in the NBA today, and I think they were less talented in our generation, and maybe that's why we saw for more physicality. But I find myself watching less in the regular season, and hopefully they took care of that problem where a lot of superstars were sitting. That was a huge issue for me, not knowing whether or not my favorite players were going to play every single night. But hopefully, it has been taken care of. I have watched this year because the Knicks have been much more watchable, but I find myself waiting until the playoffs to watch the best at NBA basketball.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I'm like, all right, early regular season definitely not. I'm not tuned in as much. It's like as soon as like the Christmas Day games, like prime time on Christmas, that's usually when I'm like locked in with like NBA. But yeah, it's interesting. I am excited for once we started getting closer to postseason, seeing where everybody lands in the standings. But speaking of postseason, we got NFL final week of the season. A lot of action. A lot of teams looking to, make the playoff push for this last week. Some wins, some losses. What do you guys take? What are you looking forward to?
Go, John.
There's so many scenarios where it's not winning in. It's like you got to. And I don't know if this could be going on a limb, but I think that this might be the first time in a while where it's like every game literally matters. Like it's not like you win and you're in. It's literally, I think outside the Bills, the Bills, if the Bills win, they're in. But they're going against a really good team. And I said this to Chris. I said this to you the other day. Like if they lose, and then I believe it's like Pittsburgh or Jacksonville win, Buffalo misses the playoff. They go from a 2 seed to not even making the playoff.
Yeah.
So I feel like this weekend is huge, which normally the last week of the season is pretty maybe a couple games here and there, but literally like every team they win, they have to wait to see if somebody else wins or loses. So yeah, I'm excited. I think a lot of these games are going to be really good games because some of them are like division rivals. So you got Buffalo and Miami, you got the Texans and the Colts, Ravens and the Steelers. You got games that really matter. So yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah, same here. Starting today, the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, Baltimore is going to sit Lamar. They have everything locked up for themselves, I believe. So, but Tyler Huntley is extremely capable. You know, he can come in and run the offense. They won a lot of games last year with him playing. And then tonight's game, the Texans and Colts. I really, really can't wait to watch that one. I think it's going to cut. I think this is going to be a matchup we're going to watch for the next 10 years. C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson. I think both defenses are up and coming and getting better and better. I think the winner is in this game. I think Minshew Mania is going to find a way to make it happen. I do. I think he's going to ride JT all the way to the finish line, but I think Minshew is going to make it happen.
Yeah, I agree. What else? We got a couple other games tomorrow that are really good too. Yeah, I'm not super big on like the pick'ems and like which teams need to win to get in. So I'm deferring to you guys. But yeah, what are your official picks for tonight's games?
Yeah, if we go tonight, like your Pat said, I agree. Like the Texans and Colts have set themselves up for a crazy future. Both have legit quarterbacks that can produce, like you said earlier. Richardson, you know, he doesn't get hurt. Who's to say the Colts are dominating, right? And then, you know, I'm huge on C.J. Stroud. Like, I think he's going to win through the year. I believe he's going to win with this game, depending on how he does. He's going to break Andrew Luck's record of most passing yards for a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because everyone was all hype on Bryce Young, and C.J. Stroud just fell to the Texans, fell to the lap, and look now, D'Amico Ryans has the quarterback for the future.
Yep, there you go.
So I got the Texans winning it. I think C.J. comes in and throws dots all over the field. I think it will be close, but I think the Texans win.
Okay.
And then the Ravens Steelers. I'm gonna be honest with you. Lamar, like you said, Pat, Lamar may be sitting, but I'm the Ravens. I don't want the Steelers.
Oh no, not at all.
Hell no, we're winning this game, and I guarantee you, Harbaugh is going to play to win the game, no matter what. So, don't be surprised you don't see like bench players getting time. The best 11 is going to be on the field at all times, outside of Lamar. And I think Odell's not playing either, but everyone else is going to play.
I think Odell might. I know he's got contract incentives this weekend. I think if he gets another 5 or 7 catches, he makes another $500,000 on his contract. So that's something to keep an eye on. Everybody that bets out there, you know, if he's got an over set at 3 or 4 catches, that's probably a good opportunity to bet the over, make yourself a little bit of money. Sean, I'm totally with you. I think the Ravens pull it out with the points. The spread is 3.5 currently. I think the Ravens will win outright. Like I said, I think the Colts find a way to get it done today. I love the Texans, don't get me wrong. I think from a talent standpoint, what they did to that roster is truly amazing. From C.J. Stroud to Tank Dell, Nico Collins is a stud. Dalton Schultz can make a lot of stuff happen. Devin Singletary came out of nowhere and took over Damian Pierce's job. So they have a lot of offensive weapons. I just think the Colts defense might make it happen tonight, and they'll get the job done. Sean, what do you think about Miami and Buffalo? Do you think Josh Allen can keep it going? Do you think they'll win and march into the playoffs?
Okay. Honestly, and this might be again, I think Miami's going to win. And I might be crazy. but Stephon Diggs hasn't been doing well. Buffalo has been up and down roller coaster all year. I know Miami has struggled against like really good teams. Like they got smacked last week with the rate against the Ravens. That's not happening. That's not. And I guarantee you, Tyreek is going for 150. So if I was a betting man, I'm taking it over on Tyreek Hill's yards. He's probably going to have like eight to 10 catches. He's going off. And I think the Miami Dolphins make a statement. I don't think, even with the Bills losing, I don't think they not make the playoffs, but I think they lose that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're Buffalo, you want to take care of business here because there is a potential that you're going to face Miami again in the playoffs. And, it's just hard playing a team 3 times. You can't guarantee the win. And then the knock on the Bills is always like, good regular season numbers. But then like, Josh Allen is one of those guys like, yeah, you're in the tops as far as like quarterbacks in the league, but what are you doing in the playoffs? That's where you make your name at. Yeah, and to your earlier point, they might go from being, second seed to like completely missing the playoffs if the Steelers pull off a win later today. So it's definitely a very compelling game to watch.
Hey, here's the scenario. So if Miami Pittsburgh wins, right?
Yep.
Jacksonville wins. Jacksonville's playing the Titans.
Playing the Titans, yeah.
If those things happen, both those teams win and Buffalo loses, Buffalo could be fine.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
That's all I'm saying. Anything is possible. Not many teams that get, and we can use the Google machine, but if we look back and look at teams that were destroyed the week before, these are professional athletes. I'm pretty sure they're going to go out and handle business. They're not going to say, all right, we're going to lay down next week. No, we got to make a statement. And that's fun high on Miami. And we've seen in the past, Miami, they can ball. And A-Chain, he's healthy. So I'm just saying, I think Tyreek has a big game. I think Buffalo loses. I don't think they miss the playoffs, but anything's possible.
Yeah, you mentioned that knock on the Miami team that they can't get up against good opponents, but they got up against Dallas. They beat them, and that was a very hot Dallas team going into Miami. So it kind of remains to be seen. I love that it's a divisional game the last week of the season. I love that they're doing that, creating the rivalry and creating all these different scenarios where there's a lot of different teams that could still make their way into the playoffs. I think James Cook is going to have a huge game tonight. I was on the Bills up until this call, and actually, Sean, you just convinced me that I think the Dolphins might pull it out.
And it's in Miami. It's a night game.
Oh, it's going to be hot down there, too.
It's not in Buffalo.
It's no Buffalo.
Because last year, that's what happened last year, right? Miami and Buffalo, they played in Buffalo. It was a high-scoring game. But it was snowing. No, we're talking about perfect weather for professional athletes. Warm, prime time. That's what I'm just saying. I don't see the Dolphins laying down after what happened to them last week against the Ravens. So,
hey, after party at 11:11 if Miami wins, I know that much. Switching to the NFC, NFC East, man. Eagles, Cowboys. It's coming down to the wire. Who would have thought, with the Eagles being 10-1 after their bye week, that they would drop to be neck and neck with the Cowboys? To be honest, I'm like, me personally, I have no skin in the game because I'm a lowly Jets fan. So, but yeah, this is one of the more heated rivalries in the league. What do you guys take on it?
What do you think, Giants fan?
So unfortunately, yeah, I'm jealous of Chris being a Jets fan currently. No, but I never, ever, ever would have thought the Eagles would be sitting in the position that they're sitting in right now. I knew Dallas was an absolutely stacked team, but I thought they were just a hair below the Eagles. Um, it seems like the locker room with the Eagles is taking over and kind of like becoming a story in its own right. I thought they were too good and that problems wouldn't really occur, but it seems like I don't know if there's not enough to go around in the offense or if they're just underperforming or but there's obviously something going on behind the scenes. I think Dak is playing some of the best football that he's ever played. I think he's got weapons everywhere he looks. Brandon Cooks finally showed up halfway through the year and has really taken off. They got two wide receivers behind Cooks and CeeDee Lamb that could probably start on most other teams. Pollard is an excellent running back, and they have some of the best pass rush in the NFL. I think that the Cowboys are going to find their way to advance further than the Eagles. Sean, we were talking about one and done with the Knicks. I think that's going to be the Eagles scenario this year.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that I agree with everything in regards to the Eagles. I just think like the locker room is at a disarray. AJ Brown, semi cancerous. Like, listen, I'm a Raiders fan. Like, we got Devontae Adams, arguably best wide receiver in the NFL, and he demands greatness, right? And he's come to a team that we are not good. But you don't see him throwing his peers on the bus. You don't see him pouting, moaning. You don't see him complaining. Like, yeah, he wants the ball, but he wants the ball because he wants the team to win. And he knows that being that he's the best in the league, he needs to get the ball. That's arguably what it is. But with AJ Brown, it's like even when they're winning, he's complaining. It's like, oh, I'm not getting the ball enough, but we're up 3 touchdowns. Like, it's just cancerous, and it makes me wonder because everyone said like, oh, the Titans just gave away AJ Brown. This probably is why they gave away AJ Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I know a lot of people are big on Jalen Hurts. I feel like, and I felt like this in college too. Like, I feel like he's a good runner. He's an athlete. Can make plays. But can he go through his progressions like in an NFL game, plays called? Can he go through his progressions? It just feels like, and it's I feel like it's partly him, partly the play calling. It's like he sees one read, and then I'm out. I'm running, right? Or we're running the ball, like we're designed quarterback run. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it just feels that you don't ever see him really go through progressions, like go through his reads. And I feel like that's hurting them. And then he's also turning the ball over at a clip.
Yeah.
Like, he scores touchdowns for tush pushes and things like that, but like fumbles the ball a lot, throws a lot of interceptions this season, and their defense is just not.
Yeah, he just hasn't really looked the same coming off of the Super Bowl of the year last year. The team just in general, like I've heard a lot of Eagles fans just say, like, even in the 10 wins that they've had or 11 wins that they've had, it just hasn't looked good. It's like, a lot of games where they let the other team hang in too long. Not a lot of not locked in with the receivers. Jalen hasn't been. The defense has just given up so many points against opposing offenses, so it hasn't looked good. To your point, I think AJ has kind of like been in Jalen's ear a lot to like get him the ball, and you got Devontae Smith on the other side. This guy is like, anytime that he's gotten the opportunity to like put up points, he's done well, and again to saying that it's all on Jalen, I wouldn't go that far, but definitely the offensive coordinator needs to take a cold shower and really think about what types of plays he's calling, because you got so many offensive weapons, and yet you're just kind of like making Jalen either run when he shouldn't or just force the ball to receivers that aren't open. So it's going to be interesting. I agree with you. I think the Eagles don't, if they do make a run, it's not going to be very, very far in the playoffs this season.
Yeah, and I it's funny. I said it to I was having a conversation with an Eagles fan the other day, and I said to him, I think this was before the Niners loss.
Mm-hmm.
I said, y'all do not want to travel and play. The
Nope.
Eagles do not want to travel and play.
Nope.
They will get smacked. If they go to Dallas, they will get smacked. If they go to the Bay, they're getting smacked. So yeah, they're in a tough space right now. Yeah, I don't see, unless something magically happens and offensively they just play clean football for 4 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have the potential to be good? Yeah, they do, but I just haven't seen it. And like you said, the Eagles fans said it. Like, even though they were 10-1, it was a struggle to get to 10-1. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of those games were just rough games where you still had turnovers, you still had defense giving up a lot of yards and points.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm not high on the Eagles. Pat, you said it earlier. I love what Dallas is doing right now. I know everyone. I feel like we said this on a previous show. Like, I feel like everyone's still stuck on, like, yes, Dallas hasn't been good since 1995. I get it, but they look really good right now at all facets of the ball, at every position. I love CeeDee Lamb. Like, he's a stud. He's arguably unguardable right now. Like, I think he's averaging like 10 to 12 catches a game right now. And he had that big game where he ended up getting drug tested right after. Like,
Dude, stop.
right now. Like, they look tough.
Yeah.
I also look forward to the Green Bay Packers, man. Like, Jordan Love he's dialed in right now. And it just feels like it's like history repeating itself. It's like Favre was playing, Rodgers sat back, learned, got ready, was able to develop, came in, and obviously we know what happened with Aaron Rodgers. And then same thing, like Love sat back, watched Aaron, learned the offense, developed, and now he's just coming into his own. So I think they could be like a huge sleeper come in the NFC playoffs. In their case, they just have to win in their end. So I think they could beat Chicago unless Justin Fields just magically has like an amazing game. But I see the Packers being a huge sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
What do y'all think?
Yeah, definitely could happen. One thing with the Eagles, just to close at that point, the Cowboys have a superstar at every level on their entire roster.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles did once. They're down to, I think, their 5th or 6th middle linebacker. Darius Slay is out. They're playing with safeties that I don't believe they've had all year. So it's that continuity is so important, and that the talent lacking on the back end for the Eagles, they could get into a shootout and they could win. But just like teams are going to put up a lot of points on the Eagles. You saw Kyler just absolutely trash them last weekend.
I think they ran for like 220 yards last week. The Cardinals.
Oh yeah, between Kyler and the running backs. Yeah.
Yeah, the pass rush isn't getting home, so we'll see. The sleeper pick, I love what Jordan Love did all year. I think we're going to have a shootout on our hands tomorrow night between the Packers and the Bears. I think the DJ Moore and Justin Fields connection is going to be really fun to watch over the next couple of years.
He's going to be a Las Vegas Raider next season. Just throwing that out.
You guys love Russell Wilson? Just kidding. Too far?
Well, you're wrong.
A sleeper pick for the NFC. Not too many people are talking about the Detroit Lions. I think they have one of the best coaches in the NFL. I think Jared Goff has already made a run to the Super Bowl, has already been there. He's learned a lot from his experience. And I love their two-headed monster at running back. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery have been awesome all year. And then their defense, Aiden Hutchinson is getting home, and they're playing balls to the wall all the time.
Yeah, I like the Lions. My only fear is when they have to play away. The same thing as the Eagles, like not playing at home. That would be my only fear because Jared Goff, in the past, we all know, just doesn't play well away. And aside from him being on the Lions, we all know who Jared Goff is. Yeah, he may have developed to what he is now, but I agree. The Lions are strong. I think they want to be at home. I feel the same way with how you feel about the Lions. I feel the same way about the Lions. They're playing really good football right now. Matthew Stafford is dialed. They don't need a two-headed monster at running back because Kyron is basically two running backs in one.
Basically.
With his healthy mentioned it earlier about Cooper. Cooper Cup is not even. He doesn't even have to be the 2,000-yard Cooper Cup because they have another guy on the other side that's just fifth-round receiver just dialed in. And defensively, we already know who's the best defensive tackle in everybody. But yeah, overall, I think again, we said earlier, I think this final week of the seasons is going to tell a good story, and I look forward to the playoffs.
Yeah,
a lot of good games.
I do have one question for Kris before we close out NFL. So, Kris, tell me about the Jets game tomorrow. What do you think, Belichick's last game?
I hope so. I mean, this guy, we talk about, people talking about Mike Tomlin has overstayed his welcome. This guy has overstayed his welcome for a decade or more past how long he should be there. Like, yeah, get Belichick out of here, like, for real. I'm just really hyped as a Jets fan. The fact that, we had a lot of hype coming in with Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, the game one injury kind of set our whole season ablaze, but at least we have a better record than the Patriots. I can comfortably go to bed at night happy that the Jets managed to do that this year. But yeah, I think they're probably going to go in a different direction. It's like, all right, Brady era over, Belichick era over. Let's clean house and let's start this thing over.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to. I think he stays.
Wishful thinking.
And listen, unfortunately for you, Bill Belichick has 15 straight wins against the Jets.
Yeah.
I don't think that streak ends this week.
Yeah, and I mean we're also on our third quarterback, so that doesn't bode well for us either.
Aaron Rodgers active.
He's not playing. That was another thing that totally wrecked the season for me. Is week 13, they're like, oh, Aaron Rodgers has cleared protocols that he can come back to the field. I'm like, dude, you tore your Achilles tendon. What type of magical sauce did you find in while you were at home that made it so that you could come back? He's on the sideline ripping passes. I'm like, dude, don't do that. Just stay at home or just stay on the sideline with the headset. We don't need that false hope of you actually coming back and playing.
Definitely tough. But, Kris, I mean, how great would it be if, almost 25 years ago, that Belichick became the coach for one day and then walked on the Jets? If the Jets could give him a loss on his last game ever, that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a good story. But again, I think they're not good. I think
maybe not happen.
All right, we're gonna see. I'm gonna be loosely paying attention to that game because there's a lot of other better games on tomorrow with playoff implications.
And remember, we can both agree we have the same level of faith. So
oh yeah,
I would love for them.
F the Patriots.
I'm all for it. I'm just trying to be a realist here.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, 15 straight against y'all.
We're about to end the streak.
We're going streaking.
Going streaking. All right, what else we got?
What are y'all thinking about this college football championship, man? Big bad Michigan versus what are they, the Pac-12 Washington?
Yeah, did not see Washington in this game at the beginning of the playoffs.
Yeah, what are we thinking? How are you feeling about it?
I think all year Michigan has been a monster. They've been probably the best team in college football all year. Harbaugh is probably one of the best college football coaches in the country. I've heard other coaches come in and say Michigan is by far and away the best college team that we've faced all year. They might be able to beat a couple pro teams. With that being said, I think Washington is going to keep pace with them. I think Michigan is just going to get one or two extra stops, and that's what's going to eventually lead them to the victory. I just think they have too much talent all across the board. Blake Corum is going to have a huge game, score 2 touchdowns, and Michigan's going to win.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, not a super hot take, but Michigan has just been so dominant all season long. They got the pedigree. They got the arguably one of the best coaches in college football. Who knows if he decides he wants to take another shot at the NFL? But when you're basically like a god of Michigan and we can do no wrong. In Harbaugh's case, it's like why give that up? Yeah, and I just think it's going to be a high scoring affair. It's definitely going to give the fans what they want to see. But overall, I think Michigan's going to pull it out. If I had to give a box score, 21-28 Michigan. Book it.
Is that the best bet right now?
I don't know. It might be. What we didn't do score totals on any of these games, so I don't know. I'm first official bet. Michigan over Washington.
Yeah, okay, so Michigan 28 or 21 over Washington. I would probably, I'm just investing in Instagram. I'd probably say it's going to be under with the over-under set at 56.5.
Mm-hmm.
That you said earlier about Michigan's defense. I think Washington will be able to score, just like Alabama was able to score last week. But Alabama was held to 288 yards, which is their lowest yard total all year. I think Michigan is just by far the best team in college football, and it's been clear in every game they played. I'll take the under, but I definitely would take Michigan. I think they're going to run away with it. Does Harbaugh stay?
That's the question.
Yes, just like Kris just said, he is, the president of Michigan, the entire state, basically. Like when he says things, stuff happens. Why would you ever want to lose that situation? I would say they're there forever.
So he's like, you think he's going to be like Nick Saban? He's like, you know what? It didn't work in the NFL. I'm going to keep myself right here in Michigan, where I am the man, king.
But see, even that's the thing is like when Harbaugh was the coach of the 49ers, they made a Super Bowl. Like he did the most with like Colin Kaepernick as his quarterback. So I don't see why he couldn't like have that same level of success again. But again, we just talked about it. Is like, you basically have like a blank check in Michigan to like do as you please, and you're competing for national championships, or you're at least in contention for national championships every single season. Yeah, I don't see him leaving either. But it's fun to talk about.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be 28-24 Michigan.
Ooh.
So I think the under will play, but I think Washington will find a way to cover. The spread's currently at 4.5. So I know those bookies are very, very, very good at making those lines, so I think it's going to be right up against it.
Alternate spread.
Yep, that's my thing. I'll take Washington +7.
Yeah, I looked this weekend. We just went through it. I think there's going to be a lot of good sports this weekend. We got some good games today. We got a bunch of games tomorrow that are going to be fireworks. And then college football on Monday. Close out the college football year. So, yeah, good stuff.
All right, and now we get to our favorite segment: feast or famine. Sean, what do you got for us?
All right, so as we've done in the past, and what we will do moving forward is a little segment we call Feast or Famine. Feast, are you with it, devouring it, eat it all, I want it all. Famine, I'm good. I want none of it at all. So, I'll start with college football, since we were just talking about it. Good segue. The state of college football. Are you with it? Are you feasting on it? Or are you famine? You got the nil. A lot of players making a lot of money, more money than they've ever made in the past. Transfer portal is on fire right now. People just jumping in and out of it whenever they want to. Are you feasting on college football right now, or are you famine? That, what do you think?
Unfortunately, I am currently famine with college football. I don't necessarily like too much what's going on with the transfer portal, the nil values, and all that stuff. I still think that maybe people in college are a bit too young to understand like these kind of dollar amounts and dollar values and what's actually happening in their everyday life. I thought I was a fairly mature person going into college and thinking about this kind of monetary value and discussing it. It's just I think it might be a little over their head for right now. I like what they're doing with the playoffs. The four teams into the college football playoff. I think that's a great idea. But unfortunately, with so much more money being pumped into college football and like all the younger kids kind of being responsible for all these huge dollar amounts, I'm not crazy about it. But I do understand that there's a lot of people above these student athletes that are making money on them. So we have to figure out a better way of doing this. I just don't know that this is the way as of yet.
Interesting.
Chris
Um,
Mac, how you feeling?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna feast on college football as it's currently constructed. Listen, we had so many complaints about, you know, uh, all these schools making millions upon millions of dollars, and student athletes barely being able to like pay for food to like make it through a week of classes. Now players that are actually like good can monetize and make money off their likenesses, which is like a huge step, just for college sports in general. On top of that, you had a system where college coaches could basically do all their recruitment, sign a contract to play at a school, and then at a drop of a dime decide that they want to leave and go to another program. Versus like you could be a backup, and as long as the school had the rights to your scholarships there, you would have to redshirt a year if you decided to transfer. Now you have more freedom in player movement where like, look, I want to go to a school where I have an opportunity to play and potentially get to the next level. So it's given a little bit more power to the student athlete to say, I want to take my college career, my professional playing career potential into my own hands and make it happen. And then from the playoff standpoint, hey, look, the more teams that you can get in a playoff style system. I mean, I remember when they would say, "Oh, college, power rankings are absolute, and team win loss records make all the difference on who becomes the national champion." It's like now you actually get to see the best teams in the country compete against each other to really see who is top ranked team in the nation. So I think it's not perfect. There's a lot of things that need to get like worked out, but I definitely think it's a step in the right direction. So I'm feasting on it all day.
Yeah, I am. I know there's no in between. It's one or the other. I would have to say I'm feasting on it. Similar aspect of what Chris had mentioned. In the past, these college players, they make these schools a lot of money, and they get zero in that. They get zero return on their investment. Um, I think to your point, Pat, I do think that there should probably be better guardrails in regards to like how things work moving forward. Because yes, we went to college together. You give me about a large amount of money, I can get real reckless with it. And at a young age, yeah, maturity levels, you could do a lot of crazy stuff with that money. So, yeah, I feast on the fact that these players should make money, because of these big schools making all this money and not giving it back. Yes, scholarships are cool, but it's nowhere near what they should get or deserve, for essentially putting their body on the line as a professional athlete. And I think in college football, more so than any other, it's like they are literally putting their life on the line. Like basketball is a little bit different. These other sports are a little bit different. This is a full contact sport, and as we move forward, people are getting bigger, stronger, they're hitting harder. So I feast on that fact. I agree, Pat, in the sense of like it is a little crazy. I think there should be some guardrails and things of that nature to kind of help, because I think right now the state is that you're gonna make all this money and get crazy and do it, which I agree with. But in the future, I wouldn't mind to see like better guardrails. Transfer portal wise, coaches can do it. Why can't players do it? Like you came to my house, you sat on my couch, you convinced my mom, my dad, my brothers and sisters that I should go to your school, and then I go to your school. After one season, we go 2 and whatever. We win 2 games, and then all of a sudden you go sign to Colorado. Now I'm stuck here playing for someone that may not want me, and may decide that they're going to go recruit someone else that's going to play over me because that's their guy. So I don't mind the transfer portal because of that fact. But same thing. I think there should just be maybe we've opened the door, but now we see what's happened. Like put some guardrails to kind of like not let it run rampant. Because if you look at what's going on right now, dudes are right after bowl games or in between bowl games or just entering the transfer portal and saying I'm out. So it's tough.
Yeah, you guys both brought up a great point here. Injuries is something that I didn't even really take into account when I was thinking about this, because there are a ton of college athletes that are, at the top of their game, and then for whatever reason, in a bowl game, they tear their Achilles, they blow out their ACL, and they're never quite the same again. And in the past, these college athletes didn't have anything to help them out in the future. So now at least these monetary values can help them out if, they're good enough to do that. But I can't remember my other point right now. I'm so sorry.
That's cool.
Well, good.
What else you got?
Next feast or famine. So I like to do this sometimes. Today is January 6th, so we're going to focus on the number 6. So NBA. We all know how great Bill Russell is, but if you had to pick one player to be your player, dynasty-wise in their prime, are you feasting on Bill Russell, or are you famine on Bill Russell and going with Julius Erving?
Bill Russell or Julius Erving? Huh.
It's a good one, huh?
That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm surprised you
This
didn't.
might be a win-win. A feast. Can I have both? Is there any? Can you go any direction that's wrong? I would. I don't know. Go ahead, Chris.
I mean, it's hard to argue with a winner. I mean, Bill Russell, winningest player in NBA history, I think. Also player coach, won a championship. But he was also going up against like plumbers and like mailmen. So, it was him and it was Wilt Chamberlain, and there was no one, Oscar Robertson, and it wasn't even close. There was no one else. So I get that factor. But the doctor was like your favorite player's favorite player. Like you talk about all the greats, Barkley, Jordan, Ewing, whoever, like they all looked up to Dr. J. Smoothest character on the court. Also a champion. I would have to go famine on the doctor, just for me personally.
Me, I'm going to feast on Bill Russell. Give me Bill Russell all day. I'm all about wins. I know that it was a different time, but the guy just won, and he won more than anyone else. Give me him all day.
Yeah, I'm with you, Pat. Feasting. 12-time All-Star, 5-time MVP, 11 championships. The same thing can be said, and I hate this argument, the same could be said, or people say about, Michael Jordan wasn't really playing against anybody, but he was. And to be honest with you, if you're good enough to make it to the NBA or make it as a professional athlete, you're better than average. So I don't want to hear that. Bill Russell was playing against people that may not have
Listen, I'm not taking anything away from Bill Russell because being a professional athlete is hard just in general. Um, but if you look at like a time when he played, where like okay, you had segregation to some point still in the NBA, where like a lot of the African American players couldn't play, um, you know, versus like the '80s where like okay, free agency wasn't like a thing back then, so like teams basically were stacked with like the best possible players that they could get, and they had them for longer periods of time. I just think like once you got to like '80s, '90s basketball, it became a lot tougher to win. So that's the only knock that I have on Bill Russell. You can't take away the fact that he is one of the greatest centers and greatest players to ever play. So.
And Dr. J never won that one.
Dr. J
So,
did win a championship.
He didn't win anything. He didn't win no championship.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You wanna use the Google machine?
Google it. Go ahead.
All right, I'm about to.
What team did he? What team?
The Sixers.
Sixers? Hold music.
Yeah, the Sixers won an NBA championship in 1983. Dr. J, Moses Malone.
All right. Well, he won one.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask that question about his supporting staff because I know Russell had some serious players around him, but was Dr. J a one-man show for a little while?
He was a one-man show for a little while. It was him and Moses Malone, and then I think in like 84, 85, he got Charles Barkley for, they drafted Charles Barkley, but yeah, for the most part, it was just them two.
We're feasting.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Give us Bill.
Winner.
Give us Bill. I'm surprised you didn't go with number 6 LeBron James from his time in Miami.
All right, on to the next topic. So, to close us out, NFL Week 18, stick with the best number 6s. We'll probably say they're not the best, but this is a tribute to Chris. Are you feasting on, if you had to pick one, Mark Sanchez, number 6, or Baker Mayfield? Mr. Famine, what you got? What you got?
God. Chris, you want to take this first?
No, this is all you, Pat. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm feasting on Baker Mayfield. I am. I am actually very happy for what happened to Baker this year. I think he's a bit more talented than the rap that he's gotten over the last several years. I think they put some talent. They finally got a little bit more talent around him. Maybe the perfect situation in Tampa. Good running game, great receivers. Defense is okay. Offensive line okay. Mark Sanchez. Unfortunately, I felt like he was kind of prone to make the big mistakes sometimes, and he was kind of like Baker was the first few years of his career, very loose with the football, very careless, throwing the football kind of all around a little bit. But I will take personally Baker Mayfield.
I'm gonna go Famine on Baker Mayfield. I'm mad you even like brought this up as a comparison. Listen, Mark Sanchez is my guy. Okay, USC product, came into the league. Was actually the quarterback of the Jets the last time we made the playoffs in 2010. Okay, I don't think under Rex Ryan he had the right coaching to become, a better quarterback. He did leave USC early, didn't stay in college, 3-4 years. So that I think hurt his development. And then you say what you want, Mr. Butt Fumble, all that stuff. Okay. Baker Mayfield, the biggest knock on him was always his size. similar to like the knock on Johnny Manziel, but we've also seen a lot of like smaller college quarterbacks come in the league and be very successful, whether it's Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think as a pure pocket passer, and just as a football player overall, Baker is better than Mark Sanchez. I even think like his time in Cleveland, he wasn't terrible, and I am glad that he's in a better situation in Tampa now. We didn't even talk about this. Who do we think is going to win the NFC South? Is it going to be Tampa or is it going to be the Saints? Both 8-8 or 8-9, whatever their records are. Who cares? Okay.
Who cares? They all suck.
They're all terrible.
The Bucks got the Panthers. They're gonna smack them a little bit and walk into the playoffs.
Yeah. But yeah, give me Baker.
All right, so I guess I'm the deciding factor. So I'm gonna have to go with one of the greatest football players ever. Ever. I'm gonna famine on both. And I'm going to go with my man Xavi from Barcelona.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I didn't even know that was an option.
Fucker.
I didn't even know that was an option.
Threw the curveball at you.
No, he's making up his own rules.
Making up rules as he goes.
My segment, all right? No, I would have to say Baker Mayfield with Mark Sanchez is trash. If I could take the Mark Sanchez that played at USC with the players that he had, then maybe. But I'm good. Famine on Mark Sanchez, but I'll feast on Baker Mayfield. I think he just has
Feast or famine, better commentator, Mark Sanchez or Tony Romo? Go. There's my curveball.
I think that's even an argument. Tony Romo is an announcing genius. Where he breaks down plays while mid-game. That's my take on it. I'd feast on Tony Romo all day as an announcer.
Romo's annoying. He's an ex-Cowboy. I love Sanchez. Give me Sanchez all day.
Let's go. Give me Sanchez as an announcer.
He is a great announcer. I love watching this game.
All right. Close us out. We good?
Yeah, I think we covered it all. Shout out to you, Pat, for coming in today. Thank you for giving us the topics, Mr. Chino. As always, I'm the real Kris Mac. You want to say your name? Shout out. Anything you got going on? Socials? No?
Chino. Who's Mr. Chino? Follow me on IG.
Pat, what do you got?
Thanks for having me, guys. My Instagram account is, hold on, I gotta check it.
Damn.
These days. Pat.Ryan.
Ryan. Man with two first names. All right. It's Feast or Famine Podcast. We out of here.
Thanks, guys.